guys, so in today's video what I want to talk about really is being goth-ish and being disabled. And there's two reasons I want to talk about this. One, the first reason is how being disabled sort of made me become a goth, if that's how you can call it, and two, how my disability affects me being a so-called goth. So I've been thinking about this a little while lately because some people have been asking me, why am I goth? Why do I do this? And since I've been young, so it's about 13, 14, I've always been interested in things that are darker, so vampires, the supernatural, witchcraft, magic, fantasy, that sort of thing, stuff that allows you to escape from everyday life, as it were. And then it's also when I really got into reading, so I read a lot of so-called Gothic fiction and dark fiction, and also quite a lot of Charles Dickens. Charles Dickens is one of my favourite authors, and because of the grueling times of the Victorian period, a lot of my interest in Gothicness and stuff stem from my love of the Victorian era. Where I grew up, I live and grew up on the Isle of Wight, and quite a lot of that got a lot of Victorian history because Queen Victoria had a holiday home here, and it's also where she died. And she spent a lot of time here, so you can see a lot of the Victorian sort of just up the road from where I live, like literally 5 minutes, is that house. And it's always sort of been an interest of mine. And one of my favourite books is obviously Dracula, and it was one of the first books, apart from the Northern Lights trilogy or his Dark Materials trilogy, that I ever read and got through in one go. It was one of those books that I couldn't put down, and I just loved Bram Stoker's use of literature and language, and you could tell from the writing in it that it wasn't a book written in our time, how his use of words and language, it was really good. And that was sort of my first interest into vampire fiction. This then went on to the Vampire Chronicles by Anne Rice, including Interview with a Vampire, The Vampire Lestat, Queen of the Damned, that sort of series. And then from there I stemmed on to other vampire series, so like the Morganville Vampires, the House of Night series, and then that also led on to me liking other fantasy type series such as the Mortal Instruments, Shadowhunters, that's what that is based on, and stuff like that. And then we've got sort of my interest in Victorian and Gothic architecture and the style and the dress and the outfit of it all. That is one of my favourites, and I noticed I was always attracted to how pretty the girls were in their full gowns, even the big black Victorian funeral gowns. So that was there from, and then again there's films, so any sort of vampire film I'll watch, any sort of supernatural dark film. I quite like a good murder mystery, so I also quite like stuff like that. And I wouldn't say that my music taste is particularly traditionally Gothic in terms of the Gothic period, or the term goth came from the 1980s, in which it was a genre of music and it pertained to like several bands who define themselves as Gothic music. I can't say, because I was yet to be born in the 80s, that I really have a lot of interest in that traditional so-called Gothic music, but I do like other similar music that has been inspired by that. So I quite like Evanescence, and I really like Lucana Coil, but I also like other not so well-known Gothic band called Nightwish. But then I also like other non-Gothic bands that tend to sort of drift into the rock or the alternative rock. So things like Shinedown, Hinder, stuff like that. Quite like Papa Roach, and there's also, I really like Egypt Central and a band called Asking Alexandria. Those are some of my all-time favourite bands. And not all of them are traditionally so-called Gothic music, apart from maybe Lucana Coil. But I think that's how you say it. It's probably Lacuna Coil. I have trouble saying it unless I'm reading it. Anyway. Yeah. But more and more, because somebody did ask me this question, I've been thinking, what made me become a goth in the first place? And I've always liked black and wearing black and all the actual Gothic subculture things, but as I've been gaining more self-confidence lately in how I look, or not necessarily, I don't think I look pretty, but I think I look alright. And I've been trying to wear more sort of adventurous Gothic clothing, so more sort of lace, velvet, leather, that sort of thing, rather than just plain black. And I'm getting there. I'm really enjoying it since I lost quite a lot of weight. I've lost over nearly 2 stone just because there was some surgery I wanted. I have yet to get that surgery, but that's a story for another day. And basically, what I've been thinking about is when I was younger, I noticed people always used to stare at me when I walked. And that's probably because I do walk with a bit of a limp, or my left knee is always bent. I've got something called crouch gait from a cerebral palsy, and I think what led me down that path is the fact that if I dressed up in goth, that was sort of a security blanket for me to go, they're not staring at me because of my legs, because of my cerebral palsy. They're staring at me because I'm dressed like this, because I'm not dressed so-called normally. I'm dressed more in what Gothic. They're staring at me because of the Gothic look. And that, even though it's sort of hiding the insecurity there, it gives me a lot of comfort to have that. And I have been exploring more and more, and it has been helping me feel a lot more confident with experimenting more with new types of clothes, such as more lace, or I used to wear corsets quite a lot, but then I gained some weight and I haven't got a new one since, and I quite like corsets. But that's moving on to my second point, how my disability affects me being a so-called goth. Well, because my hands are quite shaky, I don't have the finger dexterity or the control. I'm not that good at doing things like makeup, so I can never do the full on like smoky eyes or anything like that, or anything clever with my hair. It's normally just straightening it, putting some basic pencil eyeliner on, putting some mascara on, lipstick, foundation and powder, that sort of thing. I can't really do anything more creative or complicated than that because my hands are too shaky to do that by myself. Sometimes I have people that help me, that's nice, but I'm also stubborn. I like to be independent, so if I can do something myself, I will try it, I will do it. And I guess another thing my disability sort of gets in the way of for being a so-called goth is the sort of the shoes. All the Gothic shoes are awesome and they're lovely, but I can't wear hardly any of them because they're either high heels, platforms, or they're just not suitable. Because my left foot doesn't move, it literally is dragged. I have to wear shoes that have ankle support but they also have to have a little bit of a heel instep, but they can't be pointy because I can't put my foot in that because my toes don't move. And it's one of the things I really miss out. So if you go to a Gothic shop, you'll see all these shoes and I'll just go, oh, look at all these shoes I can't wear. These are pretty though. And that's one thing I wish I could do, wear more awesome Gothic shoes, like proper sort of Gothic boots or Victorian lady boots, that type of thing. And that's what I do miss with my disability. Another thing I find is some Gothic clothing isn't what I call accessible. So there's things such as where you have to do laces or tie up the laces or certain buttons, or even complicated things or less complicated things such as little clasps. I don't have the hand dexterity to do that. And again, I don't like asking people for help, so I will limit myself with it. So I quite like those tops where they lace up at the back and do the weird crisscross thing, but I can never tie them up myself. I can't tie shoelaces. It's something I want to learn, but trying to learn that in your 20s seems a bit weird. I know that's a personal thing I've got to get over, feeling and comparing myself to others. I'm working on it, but I will get there eventually. Yeah, so that's the main thing. It's just the accessibility of some of the clothing and the shoes because of my hand dexterity, because of my feet. I can't embrace that as I want to, but I think being a goth makes me feel more comfortable with myself around others, because in a way it gives me a security blanket to know that this is something else about me that is different, and that it's a difference that I like, it's a difference that I choose. And basically I feel comfortable being a goth, whereas I don't always feel comfortable being with my cerebral palsy or my disability, because you don't always, you live with it most of the time, and most of the time it doesn't get to you. There are odd days, but it's something you adapt on in life. So I hope that offers some insight into why I feel like I am a goth, why I became a goth, and why I identify as a goth, and how my disability both influenced and affects me becoming a goth. So thanks for watching this video. I'll see you in the next one.